It's Jaunti, boy.
Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Jaunti. Welcome back to the channel. I am back with another video, and I know it's been a whole week of me not posting a video. I'm really hoping that this video can answer a lot of you guys' questions, because as a musician, composer, producer, engineer, anything that requires you to do a lot of music making, a lot of editing, even if it's for videos, music, radio, or whatever the case may be, it kind of messes with you psychologically. If you don't understand what I mean, then I hope this video will answer your questions, or it could give you a better understanding of what a full-time producer goes through. But before we get into that, I'd like to say thank you to those who has recently subscribed. Mucho gusto. If you're new to the channel and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Also, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of new videos once I upload them. And also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Smash the like button for your boy. I will always appreciate you. And for today's Funko Pop of the day, we have, boom, my girl Miranda Bailey from Grey's Anatomy. I picked her because it's obvious that we're going to be talking about our health as a producer, an engineer, musician. And even if you're not involved in music, whatever your profession is, make sure to still get yourself checked. Health is wealth. It's very important. Keep that in mind. All right, back to the matter at hand. We're going to be reacting to a video that just popped up on my recommendations. Terrence Fisher, shout outs to him. If you guys want to check out his channel, the link will be down in the description below. The title is what captured my eyes: the top 10 health issues musicians go through. I was kind of quite curious of what this guy had to say and what all the health issues are, because I've been doing this, I've been sitting down engineering, producing, editing for about 15 years, and I've had my share of experiences with my health deteriorating. So let's hop in and see what this guy has to say. I'm a little scared.
Did you know that musicians are prone to a unique set of health problems that affect not only your performance, but your overall well-being? And you probably have at least one of these issues, even if you don't know it. So in this video, we'll explore the 10 common health issues that musicians face and the challenges that come along with them, and provide solutions to deal with all of them. So let me just start by saying that we musicians really need to start looking out for our health. One of the biggest mistakes that we make as musicians, and any seasoned musician will tell you, that just because we feel we're fine and think we're okay doesn't mean we are. We're putting a lot of wear and tear on our bodies as musicians, and all of those little small things that we don't even think about are making deposits in the bank account against our health, and they're eventually going to cash out. And that leads me to the first health issue that we deal with. So you know how we're...
Yeah, I've been there. And it's sad to say, you know, I mean, what I said earlier in the video, health is wealth. You can't make any money if you're sick, right? Unless you're a CEO of 1,000 businesses. But on top of that, in order for things to keep going the way you would like for them to be, you have to make a move. You have to be consistent. And that means you have to make some moves. You have to get things going. Don't be lazy. Get off your feet and move around. Be mobile and put in the work. And eventually it's going to pay off. I mean, take me, for instance. This is the biggest I've been in my life. And with the tumor giving me all this unexplained weight gain, it's hard to keep it off, but I have to be consistent. I have to continue to take my medicine, continue to get the sleep that I need. If I continue to keep working out, eat the right foods, and reboot my system, then eventually I will lose the weight. By God, I pray that the tumor will go away permanently. If you just be consistent with anything that you have in mind, anything that you want to execute, it's going to pay off. I promise you.
Always loading equipment in and out of our gigs, or in and out of churches and all of that. Like, we're picking up heavy keyboards and keyboard amps and hardware bags and even sound equipment. And not only that, while we're playing, we're holding heavy guitars and basses over our shoulders, or saxophones around our neck, or we're sitting at keyboard and organ and drum stools and all of that, which have no back support. And over time, and not as much time as you may think, it leads to this health issue of back, neck, and shoulder problems.
Man, you guys wouldn't believe the excruciating pain that I had to go through with my back. And I think this even happened before. Well, nah, I'll take that back. I was doing it while I was making music. I was a security officer, walking around, standing on my 2 feet for hours. They wouldn't even let me sit down. But the majority of these posters that I was working at, they will not allow us to sit down. And you're putting so much pressure on your feet, and that pressure goes from your feet all the way to your back, because you start to realize that, man, my legs are killing me. You want to lean against the wall. And when you lean against the wall, you're adding pressure towards your back because you're not using your legs. And to this day, my back is, I can't even put it into words, because no matter what I do, even if I bend down just to pick something up, I always remind myself to use my legs. But my back is so sensitive, it hurts the moment I bend down.
And it's one of the most common issues that we musicians face. And I'm willing to bet that you felt some of that pain at least a time or two. Now next, I know a lot of musicians who always tend to get a lot of pain and numbness in their hands and in their arms. And that's because a lot of times what we do as musicians is a lot of repetitive movements with our hands and arms.
I think I know exactly what he's getting at in the next few seconds of this video. I think he's going to mention carpal tunnel. I suffer with that because I'm always on the keyboard. Well, the computer keyboard, my MIDI keyboard, my drum machine, my laptop, my interface, my camera, my speakers, my crystal lights, they're all in one sitting. So it's so much quick access for me to gain from one spot. And most of the time I'm always on my keyboard. I'm always doing some work, reading, communicating, network. I'm always trying to put some type of input throughout my day so I could get some kind of output, a positive one. But I always struggle with carpal tunnel. I don't know if you guys mentioned in my other video, like several of my other videos, I'd be wearing my gloves to give me that support when I'm working. I think I know exactly what he's about to say.
And that repetitive movement puts pressure on certain nerves in the hands and the arms. Our hands and fingers get a lot of pressure from pressing keyboards for a long period of time, or our hands and arms get a lot of wear and tear because if we're playing a guitar or bass, it's always bent like this and you're doing repetitive movements. And from doing this over time, and again, not as much time as you may think, you start experiencing these symptoms of weakness and tingling sensations and burning sensations in your fingers, hands, and arms, which are all symptoms of this health issue of either carpal tunnel, tendonitis, or tennis elbow. And it's something that is really common among musicians. Now, you know how we musicians are a lot of times playing on these really small stages, be it in a bar, club, or restaurant, or even in a church. And because of those space limitations, we musicians are sitting right up on each other when we're performing. I know sometimes when I'm on keys, I got the drummer's 16-inch crash cymbal literally sitting right here on my face. And we have all of these floor monitors and amps and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, we like to run those things really loud. Like, how many times do we have to tell the guitar player, hey, turn down some, bro? But because of repeated exposure to these loud noises, we start to experience things like tingling in our ears, and some people get pressure in their ears and all of that, which is a common symptom of this health problem of hearing issues.
I've been struggling with that lately. Even when I'm not playing any music, I get this ringing sound, this sensation in my ear. Or even when I'm laying down, I feel like something's crawling in my ear, and I realize it's tendonitis. It's like bothering me when I'm sleeping. It actually wakes me up sometimes. You guys let me know if you guys experience any of these type of health issues. Let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, like I stated before, always get yourself checked. Make sure you are healthy. And if you're not healthy, get yourself back to your healthy state. I'm not saying everything is reversible. I'm not saying that there's a cure for everything. But always keep yourself in your best shape. Make sure you're at your best image. You're doing your absolute best. That's all that matters. Make the most out of it.
I even know of a few musicians who have gone completely deaf over this. So this is something we definitely need to keep an eye on. Now, when we musicians do gigs like parties and bars and clubs and even weddings and receptions and all of that, A lot of times we're playing at nighttime. In fact, the common gig start and end time range for us musicians is about 6 p.m. in the evening on up until about 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And for many of us musicians, after playing these late hours, have to get up the next morning and go to work, or if you're a church musician, you have to get up the next morning and play for a church service, and you're all tired and groggy. And it's even worse if you have an out-of-town gig and you have to travel back and go to work or church that next morning and play.
That happened to me one time when I was in Texas. Shout out to my boy, Great Matters and Digital. Man, I remember the times that we used to be on stage and performing together. We made some dope records together. I remember we was in Texas and we drove like an hour or two at some other place. I don't know if it was, of course it was another city, but I don't know if it was still in Texas or somewhere near the border of Texas and Louisiana. We were there probably until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I think, I don't want to over exaggerate, but I remember we performed about 6 songs along with some other artists that we had to wait until they got their gigs done, like until their slots were over. Man, I remember those were the good old days. And I realized I had to be at work the next morning. Yeah, times were hard, but hey, it's all part of the struggle of being a musician if you're trying to make it, right?
And that causes us to have this really big issue that a lot of us musicians deal with, which is sleep disorders. And sleep is a huge topic of conversation in the medical community these days because of the dramatic effects that it has on other health-related things. So it's definitely something we need to pay attention to. Now, this next one follows right from that because we musicians tend to be on the go a lot. It's really common for us to do things like go straight from work on our church job to a rehearsal or to a gig, or leave one church service and go straight to another one. And because we're so busy, we tend to skip meals, or we just stop to get something really quick at fast food places. And because we've skipped meals, we glob down a huge burger and fries and drink and all of that, right? And over time, and again, not as much time as you may think, that catches up with us and gives us this next issue that we have as musicians, which are nutritional deficiencies. And the bad news about this one is that it leads to so many other health-related problems. So it's something we have to do better in. Okay, now this one is really serious, but you know how we musicians have this tendency to compare ourselves to others? Like, we look at all of the cool riffs, licks, and runs that somebody else is doing, and we look at their follower account on social media and all of that, and we look at ours and it doesn't measure up, and we let that determine our self-worth. And what's bad about this is that we don't even realize that we're comparing our whole life's journey to someone else's highlight reel.
I've dealt with that with God knows how many times. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, I was the type of person who was hungry for success. I was obsessed with it. I was pulling all-nighters to learn this stuff, how to record, mix and master, produce. I was watching my boy Ryan Leslie, going back and listening to some old records by John B, Babyface, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Prince. I was trying to observe and analyze how can I get vocals to sound like those? Because granted, I've been singing all my life, but I never had my true own sound. I never had my own sound. I'm so used to growing up singing other people's music, I didn't know how to capture my own voice, my own sound. I was going back and listening to some other records, and I looked up these other engineers, like they have the personnel, the people who were behind creating this music, making it sound good the way it does, the song structure, the arrangements. And I looked up the engineers, the studio engineer, the assistant engineer, the mixing engineer, the mastering engineer. And I was like, man, how do you guys do this? So I was contacting a whole bunch of engineers, asking them for advice, and he told me the same thing. Oh, I put a little EQ here and there, a little bit of compression, reverb, delay. I'm like, okay, what plugins do you use? What is an EQ? What are kilohertz? What is this? What is that? I didn't know a thing. And I was hungry for it. And I compared myself to them. And I'm like, man, I'm never going to get on their level. I'm never going to be either the same as them or better. I'm always going to be down below. I'm always going to be at the end of the rope. I'm just going to be nobody. Never, ever compare yourself to anybody. Only you know your own worth. If you want to get better, learn to be better. because it will not happen overnight. You got to put in the work. And once you do, it don't matter if it takes years. Do what you have to do in order to make things better for yourself, and it will be worth it in the end.
So as a result, we start feeling really helpless and hopeless, and we develop this really serious health issue of depression. And this is really big because it causes many musicians to just give up and others just to go around generally being unhappy. Now, did you know that according to the National Institute of Mental Health, that a whopping 73% of people in the entire world have stage fright? And the biggest fear that many people have, including us musicians, is being on stage in front of people. I know some musicians who start to get really sweaty palms and start sweating overall and get lightheaded and get bubble guts and all of that. And it's all because of this issue of performance anxiety. And it's bad because it deeply affects the way a lot of us musicians are able to perform on stage. So it's definitely something that we need to learn to get around. Now,
sometimes you just gotta take a deep breath and visualize, imagine. I think this is what my mother told me one time. Whenever you're on stage, no matter what it is that you're doing, visualize yourself in front of an empty audience and just go ahead and be yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but practice, rehearse. Imagine there's no one out there in the audience. Sometimes I even imagine it's just my mother or my father. And before you know it, the whole floor is yours.
It's not uncommon at all for us musicians to, let's say, partake in extracurricular activities of smoking and drinking, whether it's cigarettes or weed or beer and alcoholic drinks, or even the more hard stuff like Coke. We musicians have an avid reputation of using this kind of stuff. And where it gets really bad is when musicians start to do this stuff excessively, and it not only affects their performance as a musician, but their overall lives. And you know what's really ironic about this one? Some musicians do this in order to deal with the last issue I mentioned of performance anxiety. And that creates this big snowball effect that makes everything worse, all because of this issue of substance abuse.
That's one thing I hate, especially when it comes to marijuana. If I had $1 for every single time when a person came in high or said that they just needed to smoke before they come in to record so they could give it their all on the microphone, I'd be filthy rich. It's always someone who needs to smoke first, or when they come in smelling like excessive marijuana, they come in and they want to record because they believe that's when they're at their highest as far as for performing. They believe they would give it their best performance, or maybe they just want to vibe out. They want to be comfortable. They want to be relaxing and give it their all. I always tell everybody, give it your best when you're recording a record. But like this gentleman said, as long as I've been doing this for 15 years, you have no idea how many guys that came in smelling like weed. And it's annoying.
And it's something that we have definitely got to get a handle on. Now, a lot of us musicians spend a lot of time learning music and working on music. And other of us musicians spend a lot of time recording and mixing and mastering music and all of that. And in both cases, we're usually sitting in front of computer screens for extended periods of time. And this is even worse than you may think with all of the new information that's coming out about how blue light from screens affect everything from our brains to the way we sleep. But the one thing it has the most direct effect on is our eyes, which makes us deal with this next issue of eye strain. And a lot of us have these tired or itchy or red eyes, all because of the eye strain that we're getting from our computer screens. So this is something that we definitely need to look at and manage a whole lot better. Now, this next one might be the most crucial on the list because it's the one that can actually lead to almost all of the other problems on the list. But do you ever feel like you're just like really exhausted and tired and that you don't really have the excitement level that you have had in the past and you just have like this effort attitude about everything? Well, it may be because you're experiencing this next issue of burnout. And again, the bad thing about this one is that it can lead to the smoking and drinking. It can lead to the depression and the sleep disorders and all of that. And it's something that is really common in the music community. But let me give you some really quick and easy ways to deal with this and the other issues that I mentioned on this list. First, you want to start practicing and using proper techniques on your instruments to reduce these strain-related ailments that I mentioned. Next.
All right, let's go back to what he said, that you might feel like you're burnt out. I feel that way almost every day. Because like I said before, I've been doing this about 15 years. It comes to a point where when you wake up in the morning, knowing that you have a studio equipment in your bedroom, and you have so many ideas you want to lay down on the keys, on the drum pads, on the microphone. It's not the same when you're disabled. You guys know about my history with the tumor. It gave me low vision, and I literally have to wear 2 glasses, one for outside and one for inside when I'm working or reading. You get burnt out. You don't want to do anything. But I feel like I have no choice but to do this because I have no place to go, barely have anyone to hang with, and I can't drive. And bus transportation is complicated out here. So yeah, I'll be burnt out almost every day. I might get out and just walk on the levee, try to get some fresh air, clear my mind, get some exercise going. Sometimes that can be the only thing that can keep me sane. And after that, it might not even be enough because I have to come right back here. So there are plenty of ways to regain your composure, regain your sanity.
You want to start wearing earplugs or at least in-ear monitors in these very loud situations so you can protect your ears. Also, we got to get in better physical shape so that we reduce these back, neck, and shoulder issues and even the carpal tunnel issues and all of that we're having. And I'm considering doing some videos on physical fitness for us musicians where I'll walk you through some really simple workouts that help with all of these issues. So let me know in the comments if this is something you want to see. But next, it's not a bad idea to talk to some friends or even a therapist to help manage depression, burnout, and stress.
Anyone in the medical field who is involved in mental health, it does not label you as crazy. Do not put a label on yourself. Getting mental help is a sign of your strength. You're trying to get some help. You want to be better. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't care who puts a label on it. I don't even care for them. I just pray for them as I work on myself for trying to become a better person, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. That's what's more important.
And also do your very best to get better sleep and eat better and avoid drugs and alcohol. Now, you understand all of these issues, but there is one that you really need to get down if you want to be successful as a musician. And I discuss it in this video right here. So click the screen and check it out right now.
I gotta admit, that was a well-deserving video to react to because that was something that I actually needed, probably as much as you guys did. Basically, the truth of the matter is that we need to be better, whether you're a musician or not. He was absolutely right, and I agree with him 100%. And I'm trying to work on myself too, as you guys already know. But you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys learned from this or how you feel about it. Let me know in the comment section. Once again, it's your boy Jaunti. I'm signing off. You guys have a good one. I love you. God loves you more. Stay blessed. And peace out.